With the one and only AQ Shipley, who had the vantage point from the radio booth yesterday. Cardinals lose to the Rams 45-17. They are now 3-10, and AQ joins us right now for this week's edition of the Center of the Cardinals. AQ, good morning. Here we go again, man.
Rinse, wash, repeat. I mean, my man's already wearing his Masters hat. He's looking ahead to Augusta. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yep, I'm busted. You caught me.
But in reality, AQ, he's always got his mind on Augusta.
Yeah, well.
Me too.
That's a
Who
me,
doesn't,
that's
right?
a me problem. Yeah, right.
Yesterday was a little bit different in terms of the appearance of that loss. And it started out well, good first drive. After that, after it was 10-10, the Rams just asserted themselves and the Cardinals really had no answers. But I know afterwards there was a lot of questions about effort and maybe the strength of this team buying into messaging and playing hard every Sunday. That got called into question. How much of that did you see, if at all, on Sunday, AQ?
Yeah, listen, I think you can easily say that whenever the wheels fall off, right? I think that's the biggest thing. But I think it still comes down to execution. I don't think anybody out there, is doing a lack of effort. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they're all professionals. I think the effort's there. I think they're just outmanned. I think that's just what it is right now. There's been some injuries. Again, can't use those as excuses because everybody's had injuries. I remember in 2017, we go up to Seattle, and Larry Fitzgerald and myself were the only training camp starters left in the huddle, and we end up beating them and, still finish 500. So it's the nature of the NFL. Injuries are going to happen. You still have to execute. You still have to have depth. The depth has to come in and play like the guy ahead of them, right? And so all of these things have to play out. And I think when you look at yesterday, when you look at a game, right, like the first 15, it's scripted. That's the game planning portion of it, right? So when you come out and you have the first drive like that, fantastic, right? But then when the wheels fall off, the other team looked terrible on the first drive on defense, correct? And then all of a sudden, they make the adjustments, they move forward, and all of a sudden they look like world beaters, and the wheels fall off on the other side. So it's adjustments, it's being outmanned, it's adversity, it's injuries, it's all of these things. But again, you can't have excuses. You can't have excuses in the NFL.
You said it so well last week that the messaging has remained consistent. The regurgitating of the message has remained consistent from players, but the course correction hasn't happened. So what does a head coach have to do now to not let these last four games really spin out of control, AQ?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, he just has to stay convicted. That's what he's done, and I think that's what he's done so well, right? Like, I think if you believe in your message, you just got to keep emphasizing that, maybe even overemphasize it, which I know he's done. But again, like, you got to get, and it's not just him, right? Like, the vets got to step up. They got to enforce it, and you can't just have these. I mean, I hated them when I was a player. I hate these, like, some veteran grabs everybody and has a team meeting. Well, that's just words. It's just words, and that's what I always hated. I hated the players only meetings. I hated the grab everybody and, hey, we all got to pick it up on the side. And of course, we know that. Everybody knows that, right? And so now it comes down to, we got to throw the words out the window and we got to execute.
AQ Shipley, our guest every Monday morning here on Bickley and Marotta mornings. Let's focus again on the offensive line. Another key injury yesterday. Paris Johnson Jr. goes down. Moving forward, we know he's a fixture at left tackle. Through my very layman perspective this year, I think the offensive line has been a massive disappointment, AQ, and we've talked about it with you on a regular basis. I'd be willing to give Hjalte Froholt the pass as a team captain. I think he has developed into an above-average center in this league. But do you agree with maybe the assessment that the Cardinals need at least 3 new offensive linemen moving forward next year?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when you look at this unit, when you look at the offensive line, the proof is in the pudding. And I heard Hjalte say it yesterday that the eye in the sky doesn't lie. Of course, the tape does not lie. And the tape is showing there's no movement. The pad level's high. There at the end of the day one training camp, the emphasis is going to be the same thing across the board, across the league, and it's going to be 2 things. It's going to be, we need to run the football, and we need to stop the run on defense, period. That's how you build winning culture, winning teams, right? And so when you look at this group, 30 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards, I mean, I don't know how many games they've had over 100 this year, but it isn't many.
No.
And you can't win games when you can't run the ball for over 100. And having said all that, that's a trend across the league. I think over the last couple of years, we saw on defense them adjusting to all the high flying and the spreads and the crazy wide receivers. And so it was, hey, we're not going to get beat over the top. We're going to play cover 2 defense. We're going to play soft boxes, meaning only 6 in the box. And now that's a very advantageous look to run the football. And I think this year across the league, I think defense has also said, hey, we're not going to let teams run the football anymore on us. We're not going to do that. So, I mean, I think if you look at yesterday, I think there was only 400 or 500-yard rushers in the entire league. And so I think there's a point of emphasis on defense to stop the run game now and make you win by throwing the football. But having said that, you still have to have a run game, and this Cardinals team does not have that.
All right, so now that the Cardinals are committed to a future without Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett's going to be the guy, I think, going forward next year with probably a draft pick and all that. From what you know of offensive linemen and where the league is going, where do you need to look to get the best offensive lineman? What traits do you need? Because it seems to me, AQ, that since BA and some of those lines you were a part of, this team has really struggled to get the right unit in piece together. Last year being the exception, of course, but this one's been very disappointing.
Well, and also, like, let's not also forget, and again, I'm not taking away anything from last year, the year before in the rushing game, but even I look back to 2019, we were in the top 5 rushing across the league, but like, I think what people seem to forget when you look at a Kyler Murray, a Lamar Jackson, when there's a threat of a running quarterback, that opens up your entire run game, right? So that's also like a cheat code, right? Like I don't think that's fully like all on the offensive line saying, hey, the offensive line was great. Well, you're basically running against a soft box because that backside defensive end on his own read has to sit there and have his eyes on the quarterback, have his eyes on here, and now that opens up running lane. So let's start there, first of all. But I think whenever it comes to traits, I think you need nastiness. I think that I know of all the guys that I've trained since I've stopped playing, the number one thing I try and teach is mentality. I think mentality over technique is everything. I think when you look at a guy like a Quinn Miners, a Quentin Nelson, these guys are trying to bury you on every play. Go watch Aaron Brewer, the center for the Miami Dolphins. He's trying to body slam his opponent on every single play. And that's the kind of the way that I used to like to play. Like I tried to play through the whistle, be that gnat after the play. Just like at the end of the game, I wanted the guy that I was going against to be like, God, will this guy stop? Will he get away from me? And like, and that's kind of what you want. You don't want this super technical, analytical guy. Like there has to be a common balance of, okay, technique matters, obviously, but I want the guy that's going to have a mentality that he's going to impose his will. He's going to finish through the whistle, not to the whistle. And he's going to try and bury somebody on every single play.
All right, so like Rob Fredrickson, you're a former Big Ten guy, so I've got to ask you, did you ever think you'd imagine a world when Indiana football would win the Big Ten?
I mean, no. I thought, I think to answer that short form answer, the fact that Indiana's done what they've done makes me want to exit the Big Ten, to say the least, because that's a basketball school, but I will also very much give credit to my Pennsylvania native, Curt Cignetti. I mean, what a job he's done. Maybe the best coaching job in the history of all sports.
How about
take a team that is a basketball school and turn them into the number 1 team in the country in football in 2 years. 2 years.
Well, and how about last year? It was thought to be, okay, nice story. They made the playoff. Don't get used to it. And then they follow it up with this. The top seed going into the playoffs. He's a remarkable coach.
Couldn't agree more. And I mean, like, just to piggyback off of that, last year, again, everybody was talking about, okay, they didn't play anybody. And when they did, they got smoked by Ohio State and they got smoked by Notre Dame. This year, they beat Penn State on the road. They beat Oregon on the road, and they beat Ohio State in a Big Ten championship. I mean, you can't say anything about this year.
Yeah, I think those 3 wins cancel out their joke of a non-conference schedule.
I was worried about your Nittany Lions and their coaching search for a minute, but I think you end up with a good guy. I think you came out of it okay.
Yeah, for about 2 months, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then all of a sudden they land on this, and this was kind of a guy that I had towards the top of my list back in October. I just wish they would have made that move in October, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
AQ, great stuff as
Thank
always.
you,
We'll
AQ.
talk to you next week.
Hey, boys.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.